Hey guys, it's Sheldon, and this is Farming Our Future. Alright, so this week I'm going to take a little bit of time to explain kind of our procedures for flying the drone. What we do, how we start it, how we get everything calibrated. It's going to be awesome. This is that same soybean field that I've been flying for the last few months. It's been a while. And if you haven't gotten to know this field at all, go back, check out some other videos. This is our cover crop treatment versus no cover. One half the field has cover crops, the other half doesn't. So go check out some of those other videos and you can learn more about this field and what we've got going on here. But for now, let's go into how we fly the drone. First off, what we're gonna do is we get the drone out of the case. We put its legs on right here. Put both legs on, put the propellers on, you know, kind of the must-have things. And after we've got the propeller and the legs on, we make sure that we got this light sensor screwed down for the Altum sensor. And then we put the Altum sensor on, plugging in this cord to the light sensor up here so it can be calibrated to the light as the light changes with the clouds passing by and whatnot. After we've got that done, we're gonna put some batteries in, and these batteries are very big. We've got 2 batteries to fly the drone, and each time we fly, so those 2 batteries right there should last, depending on the weight of the drone and the wind, anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes ish, and it can vary depending on the wind, like I said, and the weight of the sensor. The drone's all set up, we've got it out here, and kick it on. And after we turn it on, we're gonna watch, we're gonna check the lights, make sure the lights are functioning properly. We want green lights, green lights. Look, we got green lights over here. So drone is ready. And now let's go check out the controller. Hey, here's the controller. This goes to the Matrice M210 V2 that we're flying. And like I said, to calibrate that, we use this Crystal Sky. And the iPad doesn't allow you to do all the calibration and whatnot, but to fly the large fields we need to fly, the Crystal Sky doesn't work for some reason, so that's something that DJI's got to fix. Anywho, so we'll calibrate it on there. You go in there and then you do a little dance with the drone. You spin a circle and then you tip it on its side and you spin another circle, all that good stuff. So after you've done that, you're gonna pull up the application on the iPad, and if you have fields already saved in there, you can just pull the field up, or you can use the features on there to draw it out, get it to flip it around, go have it fly whichever direction you need, and you go from there. After you've got that all set up, the controller's on, the drone's ready, you've got to get some calibration images. Calibration images are done doing the following. You're going to get your calibration panel, set it on the ground like so. But you want to set it so that when you stand beside it, that you're not going to cast a shadow on that little metal square there. And you don't want the plants to cast a shadow on it. You got it set out. There's no shadows on it. You're going to pick the drone up and we're going to hold it over the sensor about like so. And then we will manually take a picture to show what the sunlight is like right now. And from that we can fix the image to be more according to what's going on right now. That just kind of keeps everything good to go. And we always take a log of what we're doing. So we log what time we take off, what batteries we're using, what % of the battery we use during the flight. We also mark down what the temperature is, what the wind speed is, what airspace we're flying in. And this airspace here is just a Class G, so I don't need to warn any airports in advance or anything like that. I just tell the farmer that I'm going to come fly, and I'm good to fly as long as I stay beneath 400 feet. So, and that's right about where we fly. So it's 120 meters off the ground. We document all this on a flight log. I would fill that out and then push start. All right, everything's ready to go. I've got the log filled out. We've made sure everything's on. The lights are green. We're good to go. And now I'm gonna push launch. And here it goes. Woohoo! Off to fly this about 70-acre field. And as I was saying before, the drone, depending on the wind and the weight that it has carrying it, it can go for about 20 to 30 minutes. If it's just empty with no sensors on there, it could probably go like 40 minutes, but we need a sensor on there. And this time I have to fly it with 80% overlap. So that means that when it takes an image, it overlaps the last image by 80%. And then that way, when you go back to your computer, you're able to stitch and match all these images you've taken on your computer. And that allows you to get the best stitching, especially with these soybeans, how they have row closure and everything like that. We usually do 75%, but now that they're big and grown out, we are doing 80% overlap. We use the app on the iPad called Atlas Flight, and it's been pretty good, actually really good, using the Altum sensor. Like I was saying, the crystal sky that came with the drone, for some reason it doesn't let us go as fast as the sensor allows us to. So however high you go flying, that will change how often you take pictures. It also changes the resolution of your image. So the higher you go, the less your resolution is. The lower you go, the better your resolution, so you got better quality images, but you have to take pictures more often the lower you fly, which means you're gonna have to fly slower also. So higher, you can fly a little faster, and you can, we fly, like I said, at 120 meters, and at 120, well, our altitude, AGL, is 120, and we fly at 10 meters per second when the wind's not bad. If the wind's bad, we'll drop it down to 8 meters per second. But an example is when we fly a field for some rice research, it's a small area, like maybe 3 acres that we fly, and we have to go 3.1 meters per second. But with the Altum, we could technically go slightly faster. But the other sensor, we fly 2 sensors, and the one, its max speed is 3.1 meters per second at that altitude. So if we were flying higher, we could go a little bit faster. But we're at 60 meters over there, flying like 3.1 meters per second, and it turns out great. But over here, like I was saying, we fly at 120 meters above ground level, and we go at about 10 meters per second, depending on the day. It takes about 35 minutes with 80% overlap to fly this whole field. And that's changing batteries in there, because it's like two flight lines down the field, too much for one set of batteries. We've had just under 20 minutes of flight time now. There are about 5 flight lines left in this field, and the batteries are too low. So it's coming back, and then we swap the batteries out, and as you can hear, the controller beeps at you when the batteries are dead. And always remember that when you're gonna change the batteries and you're gonna go back to flying, push resume, not launch. If you push launch, it will forget where it was, what it's already flown, it'll just restart over. So you gotta hit resume and then launch. Alright, like I said, folks, when you're going to go back after changing your batteries, you're going to push the start button, and it'll give you an option to launch or resume or abort. We're not going to do launch or abort. We're going to click resume and then launch. If you hit launch and then launch again, it's going to start all the way over. So we push launch, or we push resume and then launch, and off she goes. From here, the drone's gonna finish off the last 5 flight lines. It'll come back and we'll land it, take the flash drive out of the Altum sensor, and then we'll make sure, I'll double check the images to make sure they're gonna stitch fine. If they don't stitch okay, then I have to refly the whole field, and you always hope that they stitch well. And most of the time, if you're watching the lights and you're watching the warning signs, you can catch errors before they happen. But if an error happens, you just fly the field again and hope for the best. Sounds like an airplane. Oh yeah, there is an airplane off in the distance, but it's not a crop duster, so it shouldn't be flying low. And if it is, then that's not good. And as far as the controller goes, I'll teach you a little bit right now. All right, here's the controller. And on here, right now I have the iPad attached, but whenever we need to do a calibration or if something's wrong with the drone, we plug this in, and it's the crystal sky, and on there it allows us to calibrate the drone's compass and everything else. But as far as flying these big fields, we're going to use just the Atlas Flight app on the iPad, and as you can see there, it tells you how many pictures or how many captures you can take still. It shows you where the drone is in the field, and it also tells you how many satellites are connected, what percent the drone still has. You can also see the distance away from the controller that the drone is, and the altitude it's flying, and also the flight speed. If at any time a crop duster were to come, I'd push pause over here, and then I would try to figure out which way the crop duster's going, and from there I can figure out if I need to bring it back home or just wait till the crop duster goes past. Because unfortunately, lots of the time they fly beneath the drone, which is kind of crazy, but that's what they do. Like if they pop up out of the trees, this field's not too bad because the trees are far away, but there's another field that I fly that there's trees right next to the field, and it's a smaller field, and they come banking over those trees, and you never know when they're gonna do it. So if I needed to ever come home, I would push pause, and down here on the controller there's a little H button. That means home. You just push that until the drone starts coming back home. There's also a pause button on the controller. This is just a look at the controller itself. Again, it tells you lots of the same stuff that the iPad tells you. The distance away from it, how fast it's going, the altitude, and it'll also tell you the speed that you're going up and down. At this point, we're not going up and down, which is good. The left joystick, this controls your altitude, going up, going down, and if you twist it left or right, that tells the drone to twist left or twist right. So up and down, spinning left or right is the left joystick. The right joystick, that's actually moving forwards, backwards, right, left. And the other buttons you can put things in there to tell it to do, but for the research we don't need anything extra. But if you were doing like some awesome like videos for something, you wanted to do like a little barrel roll, I would never do it with this drone, but you can set it to do certain routes and stuff with those other buttons that I honestly don't know and don't need to know for what I'm doing. But that's a little bit about the controller. Again, if you have any questions, type a comment and I'll get you the answer as best I can. Alright, so the drone's coming down. I'm going to give you a little glimpse of what it does when it lands and at what point I take over control from the drone itself, which is usually around 30 meters above ground. Alright, we've landed. Sequence to turn on and off the drone is a short, long button. So short, long, click. And then you hear it beep and you shut off. And that's how you do it. After it's shut off, I'm gonna come around. Like I said before, I'm gonna take out the flash drive, and then I'm gonna go check the images on there, make sure everything took okay and that it all stitches fine. And then I'll take it back and I'll download everything onto our school computer, and all the processing will be done after that. We use the Pix4D mapper to check our imagery out in the field, and we also use it to stitch it back in the office. We're going to open up a new project. We can just name it whatever. Perfect. All right, I'm going to go in, click on Add Images, and go find the USB. After you found the USB, you're going to open up. So whenever you turn off the drone, it creates a new main folder, and so we changed the battery so there should be 2, and there are 2. So open up the first one, and it has 5 different folders in there. Open it. We're going to Control A to select them all. Open. Then we're going to add more images. We're going to go back to the 0000 set. Click on the next file folder. Control A to select all. And then click Open. And then we're going to do that for all of those other images. So now I'm adding in the last file folder of images of this flight. Control A to select all, open, and then I'm going to click Next, and then it's going to load them all together. If there's any errors, it will tell you some at this point, and if you have errors, it'll say, hey, this image has errors, or this image has errors. So you just have to go back, cut those images out, and you can fix it from there. Once it's loaded, you're going to click Next, and then Next again. And then here, you're going to come up and click what kind of processing it is. So this is a multispectral sensor. You'll click that, and then click Finish. If I was in the lab, I would click Start Processing right there, but I'm not, so I'm just going to click Finish to make sure the image looks good. Or the stitched images look good. And look at that. That looks beautiful. And so right here, you can see all these kind of crossways ones. That's where we changed the batteries. So we had enough battery to make it through this whole first, 3/4 of the field, and then had to change batteries there. And lots of times I try to make it so the battery changes over on this side, but today I didn't. So it crossed over and then went back and started over there, and then went and finished off the rest. So each of those little dots is where an image was taken. And that was a good one. There's no big, huge gaps. There were no errors when we did it, so it was a good flight. That's it this week from us. And if you have any questions, comment. And if you have any suggestions or things you want us to make a movie about that you don't know yet, feel free to do that too. And if you like what you see, subscribe, and we'll get some more out to you soon. And thanks for following along.